What's going on, guys? Pegasus from the Wise Guys here. Make sure you go to inkgaming.com and use our coupon code TheWiseGuys TCG10 to get a discount.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg Farley from the Wise Guys, aka Pegasus. Today, we want to talk about new cards that came from Rising Rampage and Battles of Legend. And what we wanted to do was touch on some of the specific rulings that you may or may not know before you get even more cards dumped on you with the Mega 10s and Fist of the Gadgets. Without further ado, let's get into some of these important rulings that will help you be able to understand the new cards. And I know these situations are going to come up for you, so this is me just trying to help. Let's get into it. Okay, we got Double-Headed Anger Knuckle. Double-Headed Anger Knuckle is one of the new cards. I believe it was in Battles of Legend. Correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of the cards that say cannot be used as a link material. So cards like Rusty Bardish would be another example of this. These type of cards are not in effect, so that can't be negated. So like if you Widow Anchor a Double-Headed Anger Knuckle, no, you cannot try to link it off into something else. That's a standing effect. It's not something that you can wipe out. It's very, very important. I know you've heard that before, but it never hurts to hear it again. Rusty Bardish was the last obvious card like that. Anger Knuckle is the exact same thing. Moving on, we got the Fortune Fairy cards. Now these, they're not going to be super duper meta relevant, but don't get cheated by someone that uses these cards. You know, these rogue bastards out here. They're going to use these cards. Make sure you don't get cheated. So basically, the Fortune Fairies have effects which special summon themselves when they're drawn. These effects can't be activated, so you have to make sure of that. And if the monster is drawn as part of an opening hand, no, they cannot special off of that. Don't get cheated with that. Also, you have to be aware of trigger effects and when they happen. So let's say you draw two of them. Let's say you Pot of Extravagance and you draw into two of them. You Pot of Desires and you draw into two of them. You can only special one of them. Do not get screwed by someone trying to do that. Trust me, you're going to run into that. Eventually, there's going to be some scrub rogue player that's going to try to cheat you with something like that, or they're just not going to know, or they're going to try to blatantly cheat. Don't get cheated. Remember, you saw this video, or you heard this video. Now, Harpy's Conductor is another card. Basically, what we wanted to touch on is Harpy Conductor's ability to substitute destruction of a monster. Basically a Harpy. It's a Harpy monster only, basically. By destroying a face-up spell or trap card, which would normally be sent to the graveyard at the end of the chain. Let's use an example. If you activate Dark Hole, you can destroy the Dark Hole to protect Harpy Conductor. That's its effect, basically. The card being destroyed to substitute the destruction of a Harpy monster is considered to have been destroyed by Harpy Conductor. That's important. For example, if the opponent activates Salamangreat Rage and Harpy Conductor prevents its own destruction by destroying Waken the Dragon instead, the effect of Waken the Dragon cannot be activated. So no, you can't say, no, you can't do that, and then pop a spell or trap, and then the spell trap be Waken the Dragon and say, ha, gotcha, bitch. No, you can't do that. That would be insane, and that would be really, really unfair. Not that anybody's using Dark Hole, but that's just a very funny example of something that may come up. No, you cannot avoid destruction, pop your own stuff, and trigger your own stuff. It's kind of a trigger thing that the timing would just be all over the place. Next up, we got number 26, Spaceway Octo Bypass. The effect which makes the attack become a direct attack is considered to affect monsters. Very important. The effect limiting the player to attacking with one monster isn't considered to affect monsters. Using an example, if a player controls Shizuku, affected by an Eagle Booster and Ray, and their opponent controls a monster, they can either attack directly with Ray, or they can attack the monster with Shizuku. They cannot attack directly with Shizuku, and they cannot attack with Shizuku after attacking with Ray. So basically all this stuff, the control swap effect is mandatory, so it'll activate even if the non-turn player's field is full. In this case, since there's no zone for the attacking monster to be placed into, that monster is destroyed. So this card, I knew the second that I saw this card, it would create a massive conflict of what the hell is supposed to go on here, what the hell is supposed to go on there. If you need to hear that again, please scroll back like 20 seconds and then listen to it again, and then scroll up to about 450. And you'll be good. I'll give you a second. And I'm back. Okay, Trap Trick Sarah. Trap Trick Sarah is a really cool card, but you have to be aware of the bulleted effects. and I've seen some people get tripped up on this already. The bulleted effects of Trap Trick Sarah are trigger effects, not quick effects. People need to understand that. Basically, this means they activate in the next available chain after the resolution of the normal trap or the Trap Trick Monster's effect. They don't directly chain onto the activation. This is probably going to be the number one that you're aware of because a lot of people are using trap tricks. No, they are not quick effects. They are trigger effects, not quick effects, trigger effects. Remember that. Don't remember you heard it here first. Don't forget. If the effect of normal Trap Trick's monster is negated, Trap Trick Stare can still be used. So yes, the Mermelio that you got tripped up on, probably at local sometime, yes, you can still use it, even if that monster's effect is negated. If the effect activation of the normal trap or Trap Trick monster is negated, Trap Trick Stare cannot be used. But as long as it activated while it was negated, yeah, it can still do what it was doing. So, you know, unfortunately, Trap Trick Sarah is insanely powerful, and it's almost a multi-faker and a marionetter in one card, which is insane. But let's move on. The Vision Heroes are very, very tricky, and bottom line is they become continuous traps and have effects which special summon themselves. Because these effects to special summon are trap effects, they are spell speed 2 and can be chained to things. So the quick effect text that we're accustomed to seeing on monster cards isn't used in this case since they're not dealing with monster effects. You're dealing with trap effects. That doesn't mean they're not quick effects. It just means they're actually traps. So that's important to know about all the Vision Heroes. Trust me on that. Moving on. The Water of Life. The Water of Life is one of the new cards. I believe it was in Battles of Legend. If the monster is special summoned by Water of Life is flipped face down, it's no longer recognized as the monster that Water of Life is referring to. So it cannot have its effect activated if it flips face up later during the turn. This card won't be that common because it's trash, but it may, like the original post, shout out to Nate Dietrich, he's the one that I always get my rulings from, and he knows what he's talking about. You may see this in Subterrace. That's what I'm basically trying to say. You may see this in Subterrace. It's a possibility, but you're not going to see it like that. But if you do, it's a little bit crackdownish, but you still can't use its effects. So it's important to know that. Last but not least, at least for this section, I think we had Apollo Usa, whatever the hell its American name is. The effect which sets its original attack can only begin applying upon Appaloosa summon. If its effects are negated, its original attack goes all the way to 0 and will remain 0 even after that effect negation wears off. So even after something wears off, let's say a Forbidden Chalice or Impermanence, it's still going to go back to what it was. If Apollo is, it still can't go back to what it was, excuse me. If Apollo is equipped with Moon Mirror Shield, after using its effect and losing 800, Moon Mirror Shield sets its attack to the monster it's battling plus 100, which causes the game to forget about the previous attack deduction. And basically, it's going to keep going back up and back up and back up as long as you can keep Moon Mirror on the field. So the Moon Mirror is a cool card. You know, you may see it in some of these gear-free decks that are going to come out later in the year with that Dark Warrior stuff. Apollo may have an issue with that card. You're going to see that probably come up later this year. It's important to know that. Moving on. I really wanted to touch on the Tinnie monsters to kind of round the video out. There's a lot more. You know, I could talk about this some more cards and how some of their card effects will start to stack up on each other. Yes, they can stack up on each other, but the Tinnie ones are the ones that are most important. So let's get into that. Tinnie monsters basically have the ability to special summon themselves. We all know that, right? Basically, there have been certain questions about, well, what if a monster is face down? Is it a face down effect monster? Is it known that it is one? Is it recognizable that it is one? Any of them that say that, they can still be summoned with a face down effect monster because it's not publicly recognizable as one. I would just say on the safe side, and I know for a fact on this, let's say you set a morphing jar. I'm just using an example. If you set a morphing jar or something goofy like that, yes, you can summon all the Tinnies because you don't know whether that's an effect or a non-effect monster. There's no way to know it. Kind of obvious, but it may come up. Flawless Perfection of the Tinnie, basically to clarify it, face down monsters can still be affected, by monster effects. So face down monsters can still be affected by monster effects. Shaman of the Tinnie, there must be a worm monster in your graveyard prior to activation. If there is, you can activate this card and its effect, and if you discard a worm for cost, you can target that same worm monster. Really, really important. Yosenju Wind Worship. Notice that this card references monster cards, not monsters. If you'd write the Yosenju in the monster section of your deck list, it's a monster card. So a Yosenju in a pendulum zone counts towards this activation's requirement and will be returned to the hand upon resolution. If you feel like playing Yosenju, this may come up. You must successfully return at least one Yosenju to the hand in order to satisfy the then conjunction of the card, which is very, very important. If you can't return any, the effect of draw will not be applied. So don't let anybody cheat you with that. This is just a rundown on some of these cards. A lot of these are rogue decks and rogue stuff that you're not really going to see, but there's a few things, I think there's one with Cap Shell as well. I think Cap Shell is the one where if it's used as a material for a summon, but that summon is negated, you can't use Cap Shell. But then if there's something like it's used to activate a Exceed Monsters effect or something like that, just using an example, and it's negated, you can still use Cap Shell. So if the activation is negated or the summon of the card using Cap Shell on some sort of capacity is negated, nah, you can't use it. But if it's under something and then you use it, yes, you can use it. So that's pretty much all I had, man. These are just some rundowns of some of the cards that have just come out before we get hit with 2 more waves of cards in the Mega Tens and Fist of the Gadgets, Fire Fist, and all that nonsense. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay tuned. We got more stuff coming. Live duels coming later on this week, as well as I can't keep up with it myself. Just make sure you stay tuned. YG baby.